Hello my friends, family and esteemed colleagues. I was recently provided with a video of a friend asking me to comment on it. And the video is called "The Easiest Way to Make the World Smarter." Well, right away I have to tell you that if you follow that instructions on the video, it is going to actually be the easiest way to make people dumber for the misinterpreted information. Not by the bright lady that is reviewing and demonstrating the common indoctrinated knowledge, or science as I call it. Now why? Because she's mentioning how iodine is crucial for our health and especially for our brain development. And more iodines we consume, the smarter we are going to be. Well, this is not true. And why not? Well, certain facts are true. That brain uses more iodine in development, and this is why there is a higher concentration of iodine in a milk. Of course, the scientific explanation is, well, you know, they are washing the cows with iodine to disinfect them before they put the suction milk machines on them, and this iodine then drips into milk, and this is why there is iodine in milk. Yeah. Well, what happens with human milk? Mothers produce milk, and the milk actually has like 3 times more iodine than cow's milk. And they don't wash their breast with iodine. So there is no residue. It's just typically milk. Why? Because the nervous system and hormonal system, as it's developing, growing, it uses more iodine. But even when we are talking more iodine, human milk can have up to 400 micrograms of iodine per liter. Now, we are told by science that body average use of iodine goes into about 150 micrograms. Now 150 looks, whoa, it's a substantial amount. Yeah, but it's a microgram. Now what is microgram? Microgram is 1/1,000,000th part of a gram. And 1 teaspoon of salt, for example, will contain 6 grams. So the teensy part to get 1 gram and then take 1,000,000 times less. This is why I say that the body uses iodine as a micro element in very, very small dosage. And for us to have a breakfast with 1 cup of milk, glass of milk, which is approximately 8 ounces or 240 milliliters, it's an average, even a smaller glass, because I drink from half-liter glass, or 3 deciliters, okay, so 300 milliliters. But this is a smaller glass of milk, and 2 eggs will have your daily requirement of iodine in it. So, what's the fuss? You simply cannot go during the day by not consuming more than required amount unless you eat raw plants. And now we are being told, well, you know, the biggest source of iodine is sea algae. Yeah, well, it is only sea algae that is exposed to the sun, like kelp, brown algae, because the iodine is iodide actually, and then has to be exposed to sun to turn it into iodine. Well, it doesn't really matter, because unless you cook the algae to break down the cellulose, you cannot get to iodine because it's within the cells. And does the algae produce it? No, it comes from the sea. It will be in a sea salt. Of course, you will have to take larger quantities of sea salt. And we are being told, no, sea salt, you know, sea salt is a rock mineral. This doesn't belong in biological body. It's a bunch of nonsense. Okay, and if you are doing protocol, self-healers protocol, and you are normally consuming higher amounts of salt and sea salt, so you will receive plenty of iodine there, plus you are going to be receiving iodine from correct diet. 100 grams of steak will have about 15 nanograms of iodine in it. Then having little yogurt or milk or cheese or egg, 1 egg, average egg, and this is not even the free range egg. This is a regular store-bought egg. It's going to have about 25 nanograms of iodine in it. So there is never a problem with iodine. Well, people say, what about goiter? You know, people with goiter, you give them iodine. Well, I had few clients with goiter, and goiter disappeared through cleansing. So, 0 additives. Yeah, regular diet, the good diet, a carnivore-oriented diet, and cleansing. Goiter does not grow because there is a lack of iodine. It grows because of toxic blood, toxicity in the body, related then to frequency. Different frequencies affect different organs, and then placing toxicity, you have a problem. Well, why does adding iodine sometimes diminish goiter, or maybe even gets it away? Because body will control the level of iodine, and some of it is going to save in the thyroid gland, and the rest it will eliminate through urine. So there will be always some reserve for the days when you maybe didn't take enough of iodine, which I doubt that you will survive not eating when you are fasting. But what happens is that when body is toxic and it is lacking blood plasma. Well, it's toxic, number one, because it does not have enough blood plasma to cleanse, because as long as it has enough blood plasma, it is going to be cleansing, it will not be toxic. So when we are becoming more toxic, blood is increasing toxicity, is because it is dehydrated, and the controlling mechanisms basically respond to calculation that it is safer to allow toxicity to remain than losing more plasma, trying to eliminate it. And then body deals with the toxins by sticking it into a variety of places, keeping them away from blood circulation. And very often, creation of pouches, storages, we call them cysts, happens in a body. Goiter is nothing more than a big cyst. A lot of toxic material gets stored there. And it's not because there is not enough iodine, it's just because body is toxic, but then related to particular frequencies, since every part of the body resonates differently. And different thoughts also resonate in different ways. So if the thought resonates similar frequency of a particular part of the body, well, this part of the body will be affected by it. And when increased toxicity, this part of the body may also receive more toxins and become a storage for toxins. When you take iodine, well, a lot of these toxins are not only from what we eat, a lot of them are our thoughts, and body cannot release them because they go into the blood to be released, and then when it cannot be released because there is not enough plasma, they get stuck in these places. And big part of this, we call them toxins, but they are just cellular garbage. Cells have their metabolism, they produce acids, and they've discarded proteins and fats that have to be reprocessed. They're taken out of the cell into the blood, and very often they are not eliminated, they are not reprocessed, because we, by eating incorrectly, we have changed actually the genetic activation. So when we start eating carbohydrates, and I mean dietary carbohydrates that are liberated from the shell of cellulose, well, then the cells have to adjust to a new fuel, and they start producing particular enzymes necessary for this process, and they cease to produce what they needed to produce before, like GCMF, for example. And this, then body stops labeling stuff that has to eliminate. So white blood cells, macrophage, does not have idea what is a garbage, what is not a garbage. It's all resonates with this body's frequencies and does not attack them. So this is one of the reasons. So it's increased toxicity. Not possible to eliminate because there is not enough blood plasma, and there is not enough blood plasma because we don't eat enough salt and we don't drink enough water. And we are being constantly preached not to eat salt, and too much water will create problems, don't drink too much. Well, we are being scientifically led wrong way. And what is a science? Science is our interpretation of our reality. And this is what this interpretation depends on our understanding. And instead of observing and thinking, we are being hoarded into educational, well, they're not educational centers, they're indoctrination centers. When they give us information that they want us to have, not to make us smarter, but to make us more manageable, because we have been enslaved. We are being created into a slave. So, information we receive in indoctrination centers or schools are geared to keep us in slavery and to serve masters. You cannot live, you cannot survive unless you serve. You have to make money to be able to afford place to live, to be able to afford food. So you start working for money. Who makes money? Our slave owners. Money doesn't exist, doesn't grow on trees. Some schmuck over there makes it, takes a paper, writes a picture, and tells you, well, this is worth 50 hours of your hard labor. It took him 2 seconds to print it. Well, and we say, oh, okay, I'm going to work for you now 1 week. So you give me this one paper so I can go and I can get a bag of rice and pay for electricity and apartment. Well, the slavery system. And indoctrination mechanisms are set to keep us there, especially when it comes to health. Because according to our slave owners, the cabal, there is way too many of us. We have to be depopulated. So they took a science of health and converted it into science of death. Doctors became executioners. Health educator became poison educators. And this video that is called The Easiest Way to Make the World Smarter is a clear example of that. Not that the lady presenting it is not educated. Contrary, she's very well educated, very bright lady, but doesn't understand that what she was told, which she just regurgitated, is what Cabal wants us to know. So we follow this trend and we die prematurely and remain stupid. When do we use iodine? Well, if you have cut and you want to disinfect, you want to kill bacteria, you put iodine. So it is highly toxic. It also enters the blood when you do that. Well, when blood cells, well, not only blood cells, when cells in the body receive this vibration, they know it's toxic and they start closing their pores, not to absorb it. When they close their pores, they cannot cleanse, they cannot eliminate their toxic garbage that remained from their metabolic processes. So if they don't eliminate, the blood will remain that much cleaner. Cleaner blood, we feel better. We feel more energetic. So you put more iodine in, you start closing down the cells, you eliminate less garbage from the cells, blood remains a little cleaner, and you feel more energetic. You see, iodine is very good. I feel more centered. I feel more concentrated. I feel more energetic. Yeah, but not because your cells are producing more energy. It is because your ability of cleansing has been diminished. Your cellular cleansing. And yes, your blood wants to cleanse this iodine ion. So it stimulates the cleansing of the blood by keeping the cells closed, perfect to clean the blood. But then if you don't have enough blood plasma, then kidneys are not going to be eager to release it as a urine. So kidneys will hold it longer. And you will accumulate more iodine. The iodine is, as we know, everyone who knows iodine knows it's toxic. So the longer you hold larger amounts of iodine in a kidney, you are destroying kidney. And it's known that Lugol's iodine overuse is going to damage your kidneys. It's a known fact. Well, known fact, but it's not being mentioned much because our handlers don't want us to pay attention to that. Neither do doctors. And again, majority of doctors are real schmucks. Well, you're looking at one. Only I woke up. And I was never really a great student because I hate schools. To me, they were never right. So, there are so many examples where we are being misled, and iodine is one of them. Do not take iodized salt, because iodized salt, you have approximately 150 micrograms of iodine in 1 teaspoon. Not even in half a teaspoon of salt, iodized salt. So half a teaspoon, 3 grams of iodized salt is enough for all your daily needs for iodine. And then you eat through your food probably double this. So you have to eliminate all the iodine that comes from the salt. And you are not taking only half a teaspoon of table salt a day. If you are buying packaged goods, packaged food, even bread, it contains table salt. Macaroni, table salt. Salted butter, salted cheese, table salt. All added iodine to already normal levels of iodine which are there, pretty high. You are being poisoned through too much iodine. And as I proved it to myself, that goiter has nothing to do with iodine levels. Because every goiter client I had healed the goiter with 0 supplement, and of course no iodine added, just through cleansing process, drinking plasma, diluted seawater or water with sea salt. Not even changing diet. They healed. So, iodine and goiter, 0 relation. It's all about blood toxicity. But once when you have the idea, when you have been inserted with wrong understanding, you always try to use that as a base of your conclusion. So you see improvement, it's because of iodine. You see improvement, because we lowered cholesterol. You see improvement, oh, because we ate more vegetable. And it's all because you added toxic stuff, which basically locked your cells. Your cells are not releasing toxins. At the same time, the toxic blood is eager to cleanse. So you cleanse the blood, you prevent toxins coming from the cells. You feel great, energetic, because the energy flows better when blood is cleaner. And then you wrongly attribute all this to low cholesterol, to healthy vegetables, to healthy iodine, when we know that vegetables are loaded with phytotoxins. We know that iodine is toxic. We know. There's no doubt. Even the presenter in the video knows it. But then somehow this becomes irrelevant because babies improve with their mental development if they receive more iodine. Well, your mother provides it in the milk. All we need is knowing the truth and to know what the good diet is. We are all controlled. And as truth is now coming out, then people think, whatever is being told now is truth. Especially if it doesn't coincide with the past knowledge. Well, this video, the iodine, coincides with the past knowledge. They wanted to kill us, they want to mislead us, they told us iodine is healthy. Well, she's repeating the same thing. And of course, I checked, within a month there was 1.6 million views on that video. This means 1.6 million of people that became dumber because of it, or more miseducated because of it. It's a big number. And it's all over the place. Truth is so vastly different from anything we know or we have been exposed to that we simply cannot believe that it could be true. Because of not only that it's so vastly different, but it's exactly contrary to the scientific truths. Cholesterol damages blood vessels. High cholesterol is going to cause heart attack. No, it's exactly the contrary. Well, who's going to trust me? And I prove it. Same is with salt. I prove it. You prove it to yourself. You feel great when you go and swim in the sea. And you urinate. If you stay a little longer in the sea, you start urinating, and you keep urinating frequently. Why? Because your body is eliminating the surplus. You do not urinate because you are overloaded with water. You urinate because your body has to eliminate something. Being it surplus of water and being it surplus of minerals. So if you swim in the seawater, you have to urinate. Go out of the water, urinate on your finger a little bit, lick it, and see how much salt is coming out of you. You will see your urine is as salty as seawater. Now, iodine, being in micro levels, cannot be sensed with our taste buds. We just cannot locate it. And they are in a video making tests. Oh, okay, I don't feel, how come I didn't feel that this one has iodine? You cannot feel it, but there is one thing that everybody can feel, and you can prove it to yourself. That sea salt, because of the variety of minerals, if you put it on a the meat that you prepare. When you eat the meat, it has fabulous flavor to it. If you take table salt, yeah, nothing happens. But putting a sea salt, it enhances the flavor because of variety of minerals that are in the salt. 90 minerals. And of course, sea salt has about 15% of it a magnesium compound. So a lot of magnesium. We need magnesium. So whatever, you can check the video. It's on a channel of Rabbit Hole, and it's called The Easiest Way to Make the World Smarter. Or you can go to my site and read my article about it, and there is the video pasted to it. And link to my site is on every end of my videos, so it's easy to get. And if you have a problem with a thyroid, hormonal problems, again, it's all misrepresented by science. The girl that is narrating, that made the video, she's 100% correct. This is perfect scientific material, but it's contrary to truth, as the rest of medical science is. Okay, my friends, so do not fall for the misinformation of the necessity of iodine, and do not use Lugol's iodine as recommended. I used to, just 15 years ago when I started doing these videos, I also didn't know. So I was part of a group. Rest of them were alternative medicine doctors and promoters of plant and veganism, and they all jumped on a iodine bandwagon. Oh yeah, I need Lugol iodine. So I repeated the nonsense until I start thinking a little bit more about it. Okay, so I'm learning myself, and yes, my views are changing slowly, but I'm just implementing more and more of the knowledge to other parts of the science, and realizing that it's all the same almost everywhere you look. We are just being miseducated. Okay, my friends, so this is what my response is to this, the easiest way to make the world smarter, which I have renamed my article, the easiest way to make the world dumber, by following those recommendations. Okay, love you all. God bless us all. Namaste.